Hello, friends. Welcome to another podcast. My name is Dr. Jason Wiggins, and I am your Gen Z and Millennial expert. Welcome. Today's date is March 31st, the last day of the month. Hooray! We made it. So let's celebrate that we made it through the month. And we've been a full year since most of us have been locked down, and we are ending the very same month a year ago where we started. I hope everybody is having a terrific day wherever you may be across the U.S. and abroad. We appreciate your listenership. You guys are great. So thank you so much for listening. Today we have an excellent podcast. And it's going to be about how did we get where we are today and how do we get where we want to be? So it really is a two-part podcast, but we're going to get most of that, if not all, today within the time frame that we can. So again, I hope everybody had a great day. I can tell you here in San Diego, it was hot. Wherever you may be, hopefully you didn't have any snow, or unless you like snow, then great. But it was sweltering hot here in San Diego. We reached about 90 degrees today. It was a picture perfect commerce day, and it was just beautiful. Like I said, we pay to live here. So if you live somewhere else where the cost of living is a lot cheaper and you have a nice house and a nice backyard, that is great. Here, if you have a roof over your head and you get to enjoy the weather, we're fairly satisfied. So I guess we're pretty easy. But let's get today's podcast. And let's think about for a second, if you were to look back within your life, if you're a Gen Z or millennial, and you look back and you go, how did I get where I am today? And you start thinking about the series of steps within your life. What one thing stands out? What situation stands out? Was there a turning point in your life where you had that aha moment? Now, in my life, I learned rather slowly. I guess you could say I'm a slow learner. And I was very immature out of the gate in high school. I did play a lot of sports. I did a lot of dumb things. For example, why I'm here, I'll tell you. I was a football player, and we were state semifinalists in football, and we lost in the semi-championship game for the state of Washington, and we had the basketball season right after football season. And, I think we had a hard time getting over that loss. Well, particularly I did, because I tried to fight a whole bus load of kids. So there just wasn't something right back in the day. So again, I learned slowly. I matured slowly. I made a lot of mistakes growing up, and I had a lot of luck that helped me make sure I didn't manage my misfortunes too poorly. And so it was one of those things where it was where you have to realize, where does the rubber meet the road? I was very immature. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I would love to share some of the stories with you about some of the mistakes I made, or some of the early career choices I made. People that know me know that some of the things I did were pretty interesting. I did some jobs that most people would shake their head at and go, "How could you?" Well, it paid the bills, and it was intriguing. And I always said I wanted to try most everything. So some of the steps I took early on showed my early character that I was very immature. I always like to share the example. When I was a police officer, yes, I was a police officer about 2.5, 3 years. I was a reserve, and I went through the academy like everybody else. and I did the things I needed to do. And I was a Class A reserve, which means I could check out a police car, a squad car, and take it out and write tickets, go to domestic violence cases, whatever, normal police officers do. But the problem was I did not take it seriously. And when I say I didn't take it seriously, I didn't take it seriously because I acted like I was a low rider. I always had the police scanner just a little bit higher than the music blaring on the radio. And that was just another example of me in my early 20s where I wasn't ready for the occasion. So can you ever think back when there was a time where you just weren't ready for the occasion? When that situation came up, you wished it had been 5 or 10 years later because you weren't ready? Well, that was a real turning point for me, because what happened after that is I was opening my mouth, getting my hair cut one day. I was saying things, something along the line that, a police officer can pretty much do anything they want. And I said something that was a mistake, but a city councilman of the jurisdiction where I was a police officer at heard it, and they brought it up to the city council, and the city council made an issue of it. And safe thing to say, I got in trouble for it. I was suspended for 6 months. I came back. I passed all the relative tests. The only test I could not pass was the shooting test. They had a new shooting test, and I couldn't pass it. And therefore, my police career was cut short because I realized this was not the field for me. So the turning point for me was I made a bad mistake. I tried to get back into it, and I realized this wasn't the situation for me. So that is when I went back to school. I went after my AA degree, then I went after my bachelor's, and the rest is kind of history after that, master's and doctorate. So I finally got my life straightened out. But that was a turning point. So I made a lot of mistakes. So that's why I asked the question, how did you get where you are today? What was your turning point? And was that turning point justified? Would have been better off if it had happened earlier? Or was the timing just right? Because remember, we only have one life to live. And we have to make sure that we take the necessary steps. So what I would share to those that are younger than me, obviously, which is probably everybody listening, as I mentioned, I am a Gen Xer, but Gen Z and millennials are very intelligent. They have a great head on your shoulders, and you understand what it takes to be accountable, what it takes to be responsible, and what it takes to make the necessary steps. So if you haven't reached that turning point, you're just kind of at a standstill and you're not sure what to do next, well, that's when you have to have a serious self-assessment to determine, what do I want to do? What do I need to do? Where do I project my life moving on from here? Maybe I'm in my early 20s or 30s, or you're an older millennial in your early 40s. No matter where you are within that life cycle, you have plenty of time to take it to the next level. You have plenty of time to train. You have plenty of time to make those career decisions that are going to affect you 5 years from now, 10 years from now. If you're not sure where you want to go, or you're not sure you hit that turning point yet, then do that self-assessment. What do you want? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? What is your goal? What is the medium income that you desire to make? Remember that a lot of times the decisions you make within your career or your career choice will determine how much monetary value people are going to pay you. When we pick a job, we also pick a salary, even though we're not even thinking about it at the time. We pick a salary that says, this is going to be what I'm worth. And believe me, we are all worth more than we get paid. If we're getting only paid $15 an hour, do you really ask yourself, is my value only worth $15 an hour? And that is a rhetorical question because, of course not. Our value is worth millions. We are all worth millions because our life doesn't have a dollar amount on it. We're probably worth billions, trillions. But we do put a value on it because of the fact that we have to be able to work on a daily job, get paid for a daily job, and that's what our employer says we are worth. So there's a lot of things that you have to look at when you're looking at a career, when you're looking at career choices, where you're deciding what you want to do and taking it to the next level. So those are just a couple things. But let's go back to the turning point. The turning point can be something where you have that aha moment. And I told you my aha moment. That was when I got in trouble as a police officer, and I realized that was a life-changing decision, even though it was forced upon me. But I accepted it, and I realized I could have continued to pursue it. I could have went through gun training. I could have did some things that would have helped me improve my shooting. I realized that's not what I wanted to do. I love leading people. I love seeing people succeed. I love transformation of organizations, and I love learning. And those are the things that I found to be important. So when you're doing that self-assessment, what values do you have? What obstacles are you willing to overcome? What training are you willing to go through? What schooling are you set up to achieve? Remember, we are not all apt to want to go to school. We all don't want to necessarily spend 4 years going to college, or 6 years, or 8 years, or 10 years, whatever it may take to achieve the highest level that you desire. But if you choose a career that necessitates that, then you have to go through that training, unless you decide, you know what, I want to go to a trade school. A trade school is going to be better suited to the successes that I want to achieve in the future. And that is another route to go. But looking back, if I could change anything within my career path, I think I would have taken life a little more seriously. I would have hopefully had better and bigger career goals at the beginning. I wish I would have had more self-discipline and the ability to have a maturation process that happened sooner rather than later. However, the choices we make, we have to live with them. That is why when you look at your life, it's not too late. It is, the time is now, the time is today, the time is to determine, what do I want to do? What successes do I want? How can I achieve those successes? And what's my long-term plan? That's exciting, because if you don't know what your plan is, this is the time. This is the time to shoot that arrow, hit that bullseye, and go for that achievement. Go for that goal and realize you will find an end. I shared before that the doctoral program was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And I can't tell you how many times I wanted to quit. I wanted to throw in the towel. I wanted to walk off the court. I wanted to run off the field. With the crowd cheering, I just wanted to hide my head and call it a day. But the point being, I didn't. And we all can achieve the successes, the dreams, the fulfillment that we desire. But it does take that goal-oriented work ethic to take you to the next level. Not only does it take work ethic, it takes the desire, the dream. So if you see something you want, there is no reason that you, I, anybody else can tell you can't achieve. The only dream you can't achieve is the one you quit on. And that is why when you look back at where you came from and you look at where you want to go, where is that gap in between? If you're in your 20s and you have your whole life ahead of you, there is nothing you can't do. Nothing. Nothing. If you're in your 30s, you still have lots of time. If you want to get that dream house, you want to get that dream car, you want to start that family, then there is no reason why you can't do it right now. Start today, set up a plan, be goal-oriented, and achieve your desired result. And if you're an older millennial and you're in your early 40s, you still have plenty of time. The 40s is the new 30s. Why? Because we have all of the technology to keep us younger. Remember that exercising is a key part of what we need to do to stay young, to feel young, and to be able to achieve those results that you want, that I want. So today can be the first day of the rest of your life. Now, if you have already planned where you want to be, you're already established, you're already doing what you wanted to achieve, then what you want to do is you want to raise that bar up, because we can never be satisfied where we are today. Why? Because there's tomorrow. Tomorrow is where you raise the bar. If you're doing a high jump and you have the record and you have the opportunity to even get better, you want to get better. If you're a doctor or a lawyer and you have great skills, your clients, your patients, they're depending on you getting better, improving your skill set, and learning more about your industry, being better in the industry. So no matter where you are, you always want continuous learning. You always want to take it to the next level. You always want to make sure that you are never satisfied. Now, we've talked before, you can be satisfied and be happy, but there is no reason when you can still learn, continue to take it to the next level. You can feel good about your achievements. We should all take a moment sometimes if we did something great and go, you know what? I really achieved something fairly significant and I need that time to celebrate. That is what I did when I achieved my doctorate degree. I celebrated just by just sitting there and going, wow, all that hard work has paid off. What can I do now? Well, it gives me a platform. It gives me a platform to be able to do this podcast, to be able to teach, to be able to help others achieve their goals, to help organizations take it to the next level. These are the things that platform allows me to do. So your successes allows you to do things within your industry, within your trade, and for you to be successful, for you to help others, for you to take that platform and help you take it to the next level. So again, we talked about how did you get where you are today? What were the processes? What was that turning point? And how did you move forward? And once you move forward, what are you going to do tomorrow to get where you want to be? So again, this podcast is for Gen Zs and millennials and those that lead them. And I really enjoyed today's podcast. I hope you see my passion. I hope you see my excitement. And I hope you're excited. I hope you're passionate about moving forward and creating and achieving all your dreams and goals in life. So if it's in the morning, afternoon, or night, take care, be safe, and we'll talk to you on Thursday. Bye-bye.